This is J.G. Hertzler. You're listening to NX 7062 Podcast.
And welcome to the 7062 Podcast, NX 7062. Be helpful if I knew the name of my own podcast. I am your host, Stephanie K. Thank you so much for joining me here on another Monday evening. We've got 3 podcasts left. We got tonight, next week, and then the week after. And then I am taking the summer off for, for the season. I have seasons. I'm taking the summer off to plan some amazing podcasts for next year. Hello, Robert. Thank you for joining me. And my Magic Lasso. Hello, darling. How are you? So good to see you guys. My Chat Pack 2.0. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out. As you can see, tonight's t-shirt brought to you by Pop Culture Hero Coalition. Laugh hard, run fast, be kind. One of my favorite things about this shirt is the tie-in to Doctor Who. It's part of Peter Capaldi's last speech before he regenerates into Jodie Whittaker. So what is going on in the Star Trek universe? Well, let's see what we got going on so far. 120 days to STLV, which is really exciting. And they just added guest number 105, Blue DeBarrio, Adira from Disco, in their very first ever convention appearance. I saw somewhere somebody had said something about their first ever Star Trek convention. But you have to put Star Trek in quotes, because it's not an official Star Trek convention, and we don't want CBS coming after anybody. So it is the 55-year mission in Las Vegas. Blue's going to be there. All the stuff, stayed on stage and everything, TBD. You know what? Hold on. I think I still have the page up. Let me just double check something real quick, because there's a question that, all right, let's see. Appearance on stage to be autograph stage to be. Okay. And before anybody asks, it looks like Blue is going to be at the mercy of creation as far as autographs, which means not the vendor's room, which means, unfortunately, there's no way for me to, at this time, connect with Blue to ask them any questions. So just saying, just so you know, definitely a stage performance or appearance. That's what I wanted to do. Definitely a stage appearance I'd want to see, but I'm not going to have unfettered access to Blue, because unfortunately they are not going to be in the hotel, in the vendor room. Fool is a furry. All right, so we figured out that this hashtag Magic Lasso uses to get the attention of another podcast. It's a comic book podcast, and one of the hosts' name is Foo. But we just found out, Magic Lasso just told me, what was it, yesterday, I think, that Foo is also a Trekkie. Besides being a furry, Foo is also a Trekkie. And that Foo has come into possession of the very first ever Star Trek comic book. He also sent me a picture today. It was like 12, it was back in the 60s. It had a 12-cent cover price. And Foo has a copy of that. So I don't know, maybe next season we'll see if Foo wants to come on. Maybe I'll have to reach out. But hey, if he notices my podcast again because of Lasso and the hashtag, hi Foo. You have an invitation. Come on and talk Star Trek with me next season. Okay. So what else is going on in the Star Trek universe? Some more breaking news. Gates McFadden will be launching her podcast called Investigates. She's going to be talking to her Star Trek buddies about things other than Star Trek, kind of like what I want to do, or what I do when I have my my guests on. We do tend to talk about other things besides Star Trek. But Gates is doing one too, and hers is launching. Go check her out on the Twitters. That's where you will get the lowdown and be kept up to date with what's going on. And of course, Will Wheaton is going to be one of her guests. She's already mentioned that. Ton of Star Trek guests lined up. So while you're missing me this summer, you got Gates McFadden to keep you company. So go check out Gates. So what is the topic for tonight, boys and girls? The topic for tonight is to con or not to con. What do we consider too early? Who feels comfortable doing what? This is actually based on a friend of mine. I saw him post. He was down in Nashville a couple weeks ago for an in-person horror convention, and he was posting pictures in masks and out of masks and with the celebrities. And I'm thinking, Tennessee hasn't been great with containing. I don't think, if memory serves. I try really, really hard not to judge, but I'm not sure if that was such a good idea so soon, because we're still trying to kind of keep everything under control. I mean, right now, if things keep trending the way they are, Vegas should happen. But, there's rumors of a fourth wave. Everybody needs to get vaccinated, but there are variants. Trevor Noah said something about a double mutant variant, and we're not talking the good kind like the Professor X could fix. So, if we still need to kind of keep things to a minimum, people, if we have any hopes of seeing a Star Trek convention in August. As far as in-person conventions go, and I've said this a couple times on the show, I think, and I wouldn't blame any, knowing that 2020 was just a bum year, and most of these large convention companies, Reed Pop and Galaxy and Wizard World and Creation, are all probably suffering. Hey, domestic. See, there you go. Michigan. Right now, Michigan is going underwater. Is that literal, domestic? Is there floods? I used to work at AccuWeather, but I don't anymore, obviously. Congratulations. That's awesome, Robert. Or underwater. Are we literally underwater, domestic? Are there floods out there? I've only ever been to Michigan once. So where in Michigan and what's going on? Please fill us in. But and like I said, I've mentioned this before on other shows. As underwater as these conventions might be, and that's underwater, these companies might be, limited attendance, holding attendance to people that have vaccination cards that can prove that they're vaccinated, might not be a bad idea. Obviously, that could lead to some bad press. People that are anti-vaccination maybe feeling discriminated against. But it also depends on where Nevada and specifically Las Vegas are, with how large groups they can have, and whether Vegas and or Nevada themselves will say, well, you can have a large gathering as long as you can prove that everybody who attends has been vaccinated. I think that's a great way to do it. So many places by, I guess, June, vaccinations are going to be open to everybody. So I think COVID is, yeah. See, there are COVID seriously surging in Michigan. Yeah, see, there are a lot of places that have that risk. People aren't quite doing. People are getting more lax. So as you see, COVID surging in Michigan. So like I said, can't blame any convention. I think it's a great idea to start the in-person stuff. We all want it. Let's admit it. We all want it, but we want it safely, and hopefully the convention companies will feel the same way. Who's under there? Hey, Reed. Reed is kind of skulking around under my green screen. I just want to keep him from pulling it down. So, hi, buddy. As I mentioned before, Reed is a little big. It's kind of hard if you guys could see this, I have very little space between the green screen and my desk for maneuverability. If I had more room, then maybe Reed would be able to come up and you guys could all see him. But right now there's just not a lot of maneuverability. So he is here, so he says hi. Don't know where Trip is. I was hoping maybe Trip would consider making an appearance. See what happens? Reed, honey, I love you to bits and pieces, but mommy, you're killing mommy's vibe here right now. So hold on a second. And yes, I am doing this. This is the hazards of a live show. This is what happens. especially when you're dealing with animals. There we go. Look at that. The bridge is all fixed. Captain Crisis averted. Malcolm's back where he needs to be. Okay. So anyway, so if things keep going the way they're going, Vegas could really happen, and I would love to see that happen. As far as the other companies, I was checking today. Wizard World is doing a ton of virtual events right now. But if you scroll all the way to the bottom of their page, they actually have about 5 or 6 conventions slated for in-person, starting with Wizard World Chicago, August 28th and 29th. So it's only a 2-day event. I don't know whether that makes a difference as far as 1 day less of contact, I guess. But it's only a 2-day event. It's in Chicago. And they have them slated all the way through May of 2022, and that one's going to be over in St. Louis. So, there's one in Philly. That's I think I saw in November when I went to see if there's anybody that if they've gotten guests yet. The answer to that is no. If you click on any of the Wizard World in-person conventions, actually right now all it is a holding place, and they're just listing a bunch of merchandise that they're trying to sell, including, by the way, a Scott Bakula autographed Enterprise Scott Bakula as Archer autograph. I think it's at only $65, so if somebody's interested in that. My autographs, if I'm going to spend money on an autograph, I want it personalized. So, congratulations. You got your Moderna shot. I'm not one of the hardy people who don't get sick. I actually had some side effects the day after I got my shot. It was a pretty bad day. But I got my second shot is on 4/20. I'm getting it in a couple weeks. 2 weeks from tomorrow. A week from tomorrow. I'm getting it a week from tomorrow. Yay! I'm getting it a week from tomorrow. Is my second shot. But I had a reaction to the first one. So I'm hoping I won't have a reaction to this one. I was in bed all the next day, literally just sleeping. So that's Wizard World. GalaxyCon right now is still staying strictly virtual. They've got another Shatner live Q&A on the 8th. It's Shatner and Christopher Lloyd. And even have a little poster from Senior Moment. So you get to find out, they went from being mortal enemies in Star Trek 2. Oh, wait, no, Star Trek 3, sorry. Wrath of Khan, then Search for Spock. In Star Trek 3, they were mortal enemies, and now they're besties in Senior Moment. So that's May 8th. There's some other Star Trek stuff, but go check out GalaxyConLive.com, and you'll get a chance to see all the amazing virtual conventions that they are still offering. Robert's getting the J&J. That's awesome. Congratulations, Robert. One and done. Can't blame that. All right, so that is Galaxy. So now ReedPop. As we all know, ReedPop is taking over Star Trek. They've announced dates. It is next year in Chicago, 2022, April 9th, 10th, and 11th. So Magic Lasso better be putting that on his calendar right now. Maybe he and I can do a live podcast somewhere, a special weekend edition of the NX7062 podcast. Who knows? But I'm really looking forward to it because I've never been to Chicago, so I'm really looking forward to that. The other things that ReedPop is trying to do, Emerald City Comic-Con, which is one of theirs, which is a Seattle fixture. They're aiming for December of 2021. Star Wars Celebration. This is another one I really want to do. Star Wars Celebration is August 18th through the 21st of 2022. Scheduled for Anaheim, which is amazing. I've never been to. Anaheim's where Disneyland is. It's right outside of LA, pretty much. So it's not like I wouldn't have place to stay. I've never been to a strictly Star Wars convention yet. Need to go. That's going to be a year in August. When I mentioned it to my friend Wendy, she's like, well, she's like, oh, if only they couldn't, make it closer to Star Trek Las Vegas, which honestly, we don't know what Creation's going to do after this year. If they're going to keep having their 55-year missions in Vegas, I hope they do. I love Vegas. I love the reason to go to Vegas. And, if they keep it later, like, not the very beginning of August again, if it lines up, then that would be really cool to go out and do Star Trek and then head over to LA for a couple of days and then do Star Wars. That would be my ideal vacation. Just saying. Star Wars and Star Trek in a couple weeks of each other. San Diego Comic-Con is also doing a live event, and they've actually gotten a lot of flack for this. They scheduled it for November 26th. It's Thanksgiving weekend. And I went on their website to see what was going on, if they were still planning on doing it. They are, and there's a big open letter on the site first thing about their decision to do it on Thanksgiving weekend. They said, listen, we aren't planning for this to be San Diego Comic-Con. They're calling it a special event. And they understand that it's going to be, lighter on attendance. It's just, unfortunately, that's the weekend that works. Sometimes when you're trying to plan these sorts of events, you can't just, cherry pick a weekend. They basically said this is, everything that needed to line up for them to do it. This is when it lined up. There are plenty of people that could do Thanksgiving, with their family's day of, then come out to San Diego. And if you can't do that, if that's not something that you're prepared to do, split the weekend in half. If you don't want to miss your Black Friday shopping, instead of doing it at San Diego Comic-Con, you want to go to Target, or you don't want to wait till Cyber Monday. They understand that, but this is just how it worked out. They're anxious to get back to live events as everybody else is. So they made this decision. And if you can't go, you can't go. But this was just how the chips fell. So they're sorry, but this is what happens. Starbase Indy. I wanted to go to that. I think back in 2016, where there were like a million Star Trek conventions to go to, I found Starbase Indy. I didn't get a chance. But I meant to look at that one because it crossed my mind. I remembered it was over. It's always over Thanksgiving weekend, I think, because it was over Thanksgiving weekend back in 2016. That's something I have to look into. So thanks for that, Robert. Hotel room, the closest one, the convention center in Chicago. The website said they have no rooms left. Wow. That's interesting. And maybe anybody else that has attended a ReedPop convention, and Lasso, I know you've gone to C2E2, which is a ReedPop con, but you don't do, I don't know if you've ever done an overnight in Chicago or used a website. I'm wondering if ReedPop is going to wait and do what Creation does and offer like a book, like offer rooms at a discount, and we all just need to be a little more patient, because my guess is a lot of people jumped on that domestic. But ReedPop's website is still, basically they're doing merch, and they made the announcement of the dates and the location. But I'd chill out, because I think once ReedPop's site starts getting more information, I'd wait to see if maybe there was some hotel information there. I actually my mom had a friend whose daughter lived in Chicago. I'm thinking that's just weird. I don't really want to stay with anybody I know. Oh, wait, Lasso is chiming in. Overnights in Chicago, they might have rooms blocked that could eventually get released. Okay, so my theory was right. Thank you, Lasso, for backing me up. Always got my back, this one. All right, yeah. So that's what I'm thinking, is that we just need to wait for the convention to see, and hopefully sooner rather than later they'll release some rooms. Sign up for the newsletter. Go to their website. Go to the Star Trek Missions website. Sign up for the newsletter. Because hopefully that would be something that would come across if they're about to release a block of rooms. And look at it this way, domestic, all these people that have already booked their rooms, hopefully that just means that we'll be able to get ones through the convention and not have to fight for them. Because I don't know anybody, like I said, I know somebody who knows somebody. That's not enough for me to, ask them if they'll be my Airbnb for the weekend. So I don't know, Lasso, maybe you can move to Chicago between now and next May, or not next May, next April. Just a suggestion. Games. Who else? Okay, so Shore Leave, which is the Star Trek. Hunt Valley gets 2 Star Trek themed conventions, and they end up with 3 cons a year because I think Farpoint does too. So there's Farpoint and Shore Leave, and Shore Leave was slated for July, and I was really, there you go. Is that one of those, like, when you win the lottery kind of areas you can get there kind of deal? I don't know. I know nothing about Chicago real estate, but that would be awesome. I'm not a city girl. I don't want to live in a city. I like to go to cities. I love to go to Boston. I love to go to New York. I love LA, but I like to be able to go home to the suburbs. So that's just sort of my thing. I like to sleep quiet, but I love the energy of the city when I'm up and about. I used to, total segue, total non sequitur, I should say. My great aunt had lived in an apartment building, and if you've ever watched Rocky 2, the scene where he runs down the parkway right before he runs up the art museum steps, there's a shot that's kind of where they're showing everything from the side so you can see him in profile running down because you want to see all the kids that are running behind him. And there's a building that he runs past. That's where my great aunt used to live. So I've spent nights in Philly. It's kind of where I learned that I prefer to live someplace quieter. But Shore Leave was going to be in person. It was July 9th through the 11th, but they've decided very recently that they're not comfortable doing that yet, so they flipped it over. I do live in New Jersey, but I also live right across the bridge from Philadelphia. I'm closer to Philadelphia than pretty much, as far as major metropolitan areas, I'm like 20 minutes outside of Philly. Hour and a half from New York City, and five and a half hours from Boston. So, there's your geography lesson for the day, domestic, at least my personal geography. So Shore Leave, like I said, they're in Hunt Valley, Maryland. It's a really great convention. Their sister convention's Farpoint. Farpoint had a February convention, as in a couple months ago, February, listed on their website. But I didn't really see whether or not it happened. I didn't see any footage from it. I didn't see if it moved to virtual. So there's no information about Farpoint past what did or didn't happen back in February. Robert Westview from WandaVision. Yeah, actually, I have to since you mentioned it, Robert, first of all, I'm pretty sure Westview was supposed to be in the northernmost reaches of New Jersey. More geography. South Jersey is kind of suburban and rural. Central Jersey gets a little more urban. By the way, New Jersey can't do a city to save their life. All the cities in New Jersey are awful. What's that? All the cities in New Jersey are awful. But then you get, if you look at map, Route 80 starts in Jersey, in New York and New Jersey, and goes all the way across the country. If you go in New Jersey and you're north of Route 80, because it's beautiful. It goes back to really, really more of a rural area, and I'm pretty sure that Westview was supposed to be up in that area, give or take a few miles. But also, I don't think I saw one New Jersey license plate in WandaVision. I looked. They all look like they were from Connecticut, white and blue. Jersey's license plates are yellow. So I don't know where they were getting their license plates from or where they were getting their background cars from, aka picture cars. But I don't think I saw one New Jersey license plate or even the right color license plate in all of WandaVision. That sort of bugged me. All right. So so Farpoint and Shore Leave were the last two that I checked. So, like I said, I'm ready. I've gone through withdrawal, not having Vegas, not seeing my friends. And I'm not just talking about my celebrity pals that I only get to see once a year. I'm talking about a friend of mine that works for Creation that lives in Sydney, Australia. I'm talking about a friend I made when I volunteered that was supposed to come over from Ireland to celebrate my birthday last year in 2020. All of that fell apart. I know I'm not the only person that had things fall apart. All of that fell apart for a lot of people. But not seeing my bestie because she lives out in Seattle, it's part of the reason why we scheduled our big road trip, which is actually just over a month away. Let's see. If you're going through a withdrawal, you must save a lot of money on paper. You are so cute, Lasso. Love you for all those little play on words that you do. You should, not that I would ever share personal text messages, but this is why I love text messaging with Lasso, because of the quips that we can do. In fact, just as a side note, everybody needs to be here on April 26th, which is not only my season finale. I'm trying to line up a guest. I haven't nailed down who it's going to be yet. But it's also Lasso's birthday, so we all need to be here to wish Lasso a happy birthday, because Lasso is awesome. He's the reason that I have this. This is still sitting in my office by my desk. My little Hot Wheels Wonder Woman 84 jet, which it's not invisible, but it's still pretty cool. Anyway, I was just sitting here, so I thought I'd share that. So I think we all need it. And every day I hear the news, I start to get hopeful. And then I start to get nervous because people are thinking, because the CDC keeps changing the guidelines. I've got this road trip at the end of May, and, right now I have to wear a mask on the plane for 6 hours. Hey, sugar, I have to wear a mask on a plane for 6 hours. I'd love to see that change, but obviously that's probably not going to happen, because it reads that even when you're eating, unless you're actively chewing, you have to leave your mask on. So I guess if I'm eating peanuts, I have to kind of put them. And I'm willing to do it because I will follow the rules to go across the country. But who knows? Maybe by next month things will have changed, and if you're vaccinated, they'll realize that you don't need to wear a mask on a plane, and you just have to prove that you're vaccinated. I'm planning on getting my vaccination card laminated. They're still talking about figuring out a way to do vaccine passports. I know that I think there is an app out there that lets you do it. The problem with apps is that not everybody who's going to be vaccinated is going to have a smartphone. Some older Americans may still have those flip phones. People who have burner phones, and they're pay as you go kind of thing. So having an app on phones is great, but it's not great for everybody. It's just great. But everybody's going to have the card. Like I said, I'm planning on getting mine laminated. That was an idea I got from my dad, actually. I think that's a great idea. And I'm really looking forward to getting on a plane, and not the last time I got on a plane was actually right before the shit hit the fan. I flew out to LA for Gallifrey 1, the Doctor Who convention that I know I've mentioned a few times. It was Lambda Quadrant's first West Coast event. It was a Doctor Who convention. There were some Star Trek people that were going to be there. Chase Masterson was there representing for Vienna, her audio drama, I should say. So that was the last time I was on a plane. And it was also a cross-country trip. So I'm just looking forward to getting on a plane, going out, spending a couple days in LA, visiting my LA fam, and then bopping up to Seattle, meeting up with my friend Wendy, and then we're going to take that ride across the country. So even though I am going to be done as of April 26th, podcast is going on break for May, June, July, and August. There will be some video footage of me doing something in Bozeman. I was talking to a friend of mine this weekend who didn't understand why you would just stop in a town. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, it's not like it's a tourist attraction. It's just a town on a map. I said, yeah, but the significance of it. I said, we're going to try and time it right. So, first of all, it's literally on the way. We're not going out of our way. And secondly, we're going to try and time it so that we pull in right around the time maybe that we're going to want to eat breakfast or get a snack. It's 10 hours from Seattle to Bozeman. So if we time it right, that'll be about breakfast time, and we'll pull in and get something to eat and shoot the video and be like, we're in Bozeman. And obviously, my friend is not a Trekkie, so he doesn't quite understand the significance of being able to step foot in Bozeman. Let's see. Worried about how comfortable the stars are going to feel at the convention. I don't mind autographs for mass stars, but I don't see how the photos will work. Well, again, I think that has to go back to only allowing people in that are vaccinated, because even right now, vaccinated individuals are allowed to congregate together without masks. So I think, I think that that's something. If the convention only lets in masked people, if the convention says the only people that are allowed to do photo ops are people that have been vaccinated, again, I know that some people are going to find that discriminatory, because I know that there are people out there that choose not to, people out there that have chosen not to get vaccinated. But this comes to the health and safety of, everybody. And herd immunity may not, be in full swing by August. Yeah, exactly. I don't blame you, domestic. That is a huge investment. And actually, on that note, Destination Star Trek in London, which is happening this coming November. I think it's actually the week before our Thanksgiving. Obviously, the Brits don't have a stake in Thanksgiving, but let me double check the calendar. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Destination is like the 19th, 20th, and 21st, or the 12th. No, you know what? I think it's the 12th. I think it's actually 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. I think it's like the 11th, 12th, and 13th. Yeah. So Destination Star Trek. They were all set to do the Voyager anniversary in 2020. That fell apart. So now we're in 2021, and they're still focusing on the Voyager anniversary. And I was, poor Enterprise getting the short end of the stick again. But a friend of mine in Liverpool, who is familiar with the convention circuit and works the convention circuit a little bit out there, made an excellent point. They need to stick with Voyager right now, because Destination Star Trek invested a whole hell of a lot in a Voyager bridge, and they need to recoup that with Voyager crew on the bridge photo ops. So I'm sure Creation is going to do everything that they can to make these sorts of things happen. I did a photo op at Wizard World a couple years ago with Femke Janssen, because the empath, the perfect mate. She was the perfect mate, and it was one of my favorite. It was one of my favorite episodes of TNG. Plus, I loved her and Nip Tuck. Not to mention that she plays Jean Grey in the X-Men movies. So I was really looking forward to that. She didn't like being touched before it was the thing, before it was in vogue. And you would go up to her autograph table and they'd ask you not to try and shake her hand. And then when I did the photo op with her, she sits in a stool and they tell you, don't put your arm around her. You can stand next to her, but don't touch her. Or I think you could put your arm on the back of the chair, but don't touch her. So I think as far as photo ops go, I mean, I get it. It sucks because it's fun, especially with people like John Barrowman or Doug Jones, who get very huggy when they do the photo ops with you. That is part of the experience. But that's going to be your choice if you're willing to pay for a photo op where you can't just put your arm around somebody. You can just stand with them for maybe masks on until they're ready to take the picture. Then you take your mask off and then they snap the picture and then you walk through. You know what I mean? It's a financial thing for Creation, for anybody that's doing photo ops. I mean, that's a big chunk of their revenue. So they're going to figure out a way to make it work that hopefully the fans and the celebrities alike will feel comfortable. Whether or not there's some celebrities that go and cancel their photo ops, that's always a possibility. Especially maybe some of the older actors may not want to do it. Like I said, that's always a possibility. And if you read Creation's website, nothing is guaranteed. Appearances aren't guaranteed. Photo ops aren't guaranteed. Autographs aren't guaranteed. People pull out at the last minute. Domestic, I hope that whatever Creation comes up with is something that you're happy with. Because like I said, I know what it's like to spend that kind of money and then not get it, or worse, have them say, okay, well, you all can stand in the middle, but everybody's going to have daylight between them in the picture. You're not going to be happy with that, how that looks. And I hope if whatever Creation comes up with isn't suitable to the people that have invested that kind of money, I hope they give you the option of getting a refund. I'd hope. But like I said, I mean, it's just as important to them from a financial standpoint as it is to the fans to have that memory. So hopefully whatever it is that they decide that they're going to do is something that you as a fan and the actors as the people that are going to be exposed to, you know, hundreds of people coming through can all be comfortable with. Like I said, personally, again, for the umpteenth time, I think the way to go is to only allow people in that have been vaccinated and can prove it. Because right now, you know, people who are vaccinated, as it stands right now, no longer have to quarantine when they travel from one place to another. So that in and of itself is a good thing. Nobody has to come to LA. You know, nobody's going to have to come to Vegas, you know, umpteen days early, as long as you're vaccinated, to make sure that you're past the quarantine point before you can go in. Yeah, like I said, I don't know. We don't know because August is so far away and the rules keep changing every day. So I don't know. Oh, sorry. Okay, fine. Yeah, wait, Trip was just here. So, I mean, who knows? But hopefully it'll be something that we can all enjoy because God forbid I get denied 2 years in a row going to Vegas because I'm trying to do birthday 2.0. I'm hoping that'll happen. Working on that now. So I'm trying for birthday 2.0. Plus, you know, just time in Vegas to see my friends. So fingers crossed that it happens. I don't know. I guess domestic, we all know what you're hoping for. I don't know what everybody else out there is hoping for. Lasso. I know you enjoy a good convention, obviously, as much as the rest of us. Hold on a second. Lasso, I'm sorry. I just saw this from you. They're saying not to laminate your vaccine cards, instead scan them or take digital pics of them and keep on your devices and store originals safely away. That's interesting. I hadn't heard that. I will look that up after the show. Because I'd be very surprised, honestly, if I guess that's kind of the whole passport thing is basically, but that's interesting that they would accept something on a phone as opposed to seeing the actual card. But that's interesting. I'll have to look at that because I hadn't heard that yet. But I mean, it makes in a way it makes sense because if you lose your original card, you're fucked. See, I love the fact every one of my shows, by the way, is marked as explicit, just so I don't have to worry about if I turn around and want to curse. So I can go 20 shows perfectly clean, and not have to worry about it. But when I want to say something like "you'd be fucked if you lost your card," I don't have to worry about it because it's marked as explicit. So if anybody's ever wondered, that's why every one of my shows is marked an explicit. Also, if I ever get John Billingsley or Dominic Keating on this show, I don't want to have to remember to turn it on. Just saying, between the two of them, if I didn't have it explicit, everything would have to be bleeped. So, and those are squad goals for next season. Like I said, I've already got a couple of guests in mind to close out the 19th and the 26th. Don't know who's coming on when. Still working on the details because something just popped up today. But I will definitely keep you guys posted, obviously, because I know y'all want to know where all this is going. But yes, I will have guests to close out the last two shows of the season. One of these days, Lasso, I am going to get you on so everybody gets a chance to meet you. But if you want to see Lasso, you can always subscribe if you are a comic book fan. If you're a WandaVision fan, Robert, you probably would enjoy what Lasso has to say about all of the WandaVisions. He reviews every one of them, which I'm so glad because I am not as versed in the comics as he is, which means that when I miss something, if I miss a little allusion to something because it's comic book related, but it popped up in WandaVision, Lasso will let you know. So if you are a fan of comics or just comic universes as they appear in television and the movies, then Lasso is definitely the one. Oh my God, congratulations, 450 subscribers. That's great. Congratulations, Lasso. Let's see if we can get them to, 460. Keep it small. Keep my expectations low. I would love that many subscribers. I don't have that many subscribers. Maybe that's something I'll be working on. Like I said, be on the lookout for videos that are going to be posted while I'm off. If you start missing me, just go watch Gates. I mean, you'll barely notice the difference, I'm sure. But Gates' podcast, Investigates, is soon to be somewhere near you. Well, hello, War Dog. Chat Pack 2.0. Thanks for joining us. You're kind of coming in on the end, but if you want to talk real quick, what your feelings are about the conventions coming up and how safe you're going to feel. I believe you were planning on No, you weren't planning on attending Vegas. I don't think. I thought you were. But any conventions near you or something that you were thinking of going to when you're going to feel safe to go? Oh, gotcha. I forgot. Okay. Gotcha. Well, so glad that you are here and hanging out and doing what you do so well, which is multitasking. So thanks. Thanks for being here. I'm glad you were here the whole time, because I would have felt really bad if you just popped in literally 5 minutes ago. I'm like, okay, see ya, bye. But anyway, so what else is going on? Well, if you haven't already, you should definitely subscribe to my NX7062 podcast. I would absolutely appreciate that, obviously. What else we got going on? That's where you can find me on Patreon. You can just go to Patreon and search for NX7062, or just type in patreon.com/7062. The link to the t-shirt store is in my Twitter description, and I'm pretty sure it's in the Facebook description too. So you have links to head over to my t-shirt store. Support is always good. There are just things that I could use. Okay, there you go. Drive to Portlandia from Montauk for a work gig. Well, safe travels to you, War Dog. Hope, you know what? All of my old podcasts before this year are still up on Spreaker.com. So if you want somebody to keep you company while you're driving, you can head over to Spreaker.com and listen to all my old podcasts if you want. Just saying. But yeah, support. If you want to become a patron, I would love that. That, again, will give you access to my patrons only Facebook page, which will give you closer access to me. Also, anybody that's a patron gets to suggest guests and topics for the show. Also, your questions to any celebrity guests that I have in the show, or celebrities that I'm going to be able to talk to at a convention, your questions get first priority, so that if there's a time constraint or something, your questions will be up at the top. Travis, hello. Thanks for hanging out. Trip was in here a little while ago. I don't know if you were here and just not chatting, but Trip was here. I tried to pick him up, but he ran away. Yes, War Dog is one of my patrons. Domestic is my other patron. War Dog, thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate it. Because like I said, I've got to get my butt to conventions. I got to pay for hotel rooms. Who's that? Oh, it's Reed. Got to get my butt to conventions. I've got to pay for hotel rooms. There are expenses involved. And if you guys help out, that's amazing, because it helps me get to more conventions. Because right now we got Creation, we got Chicago. There could be doubling up next year. We don't know if Creation's planning another Vegas in 2022. I know you're the cat guy, Travis. I love that. I love that you always say hi to my cats when they're here. So yes, if you can be a patron, it's tiered. Every tier has a gift of some sort. So if you're a patron for 3 months, you will get a thank you gift from me to you, all gifts that I personally have designed to say thank you. So you're going to get a spot for your merch at the Lambda Quadrant booth at the 55th anniversary. I am not. Lambda Quadrant is separate from the podcast. I obviously support Lambda Quadrant 100%. I mean, I'm part of Lambda Quadrant. I co-founded Lambda Quadrant. I'm very proud of the work that we do. But the booth is the booth, and it's Lambda Quadrant's booth. Because you know what? I am not the only person in Lambda Quadrant that has a side that's even a podcaster. One of our other members is a podcaster. We've all got our own personal gigs, which we all do, and but we always keep everything separate from Lambda Quadrant as far as things like that. So no, the booth will be focusing strictly on Lambda Quadrant. But trust me, Domestic, there's going to be Lambda Quadrant merch that you're going to want to get. In fact, Randy's one of the guests I'm trying to line up for either next week or the week after. And I'm going to make sure that he brings some of the samples of things that he has been doing on his 3D printer, because trust me when I tell you, there are things, if you don't want a t-shirt, he will have 3D printed things that I can almost guarantee you that you're going to want. I need to find the Horgon necklace he gave me in 2019 for my birthday. I brought it home from Vegas. I have no idea where the little guy got to, but I definitely need to find that. He's amazing with the 3D printer. New convention host, Pop Something. They're going to be changing cities each year. Travis, it's Reed Pop. They are going to be changing cities each year. They also have the Star Wars celebration. And Reed Pop's kind of based in Chicago. I think that's kind of like their comfort zone. But just like Star Wars, they're going to be bopping around the country. So Chicago's the first stop, April of 2022. Nobody said anything about where else they're going to be taking it, but they are now the official Star Trek convention hosts. And if you go to the Star Trek Missions website, you can sign up for the newsletter. Right now, there's nothing on the website except some fabulous merch, including some Pride merch. And so there's some fantastic merch there. And you can sign up for the newsletter so that you will find out exactly what is going on when you can't hear it from me. War Dog, you've only been to Virtual TrekCon, thinking next year will be my first IRL. Oh, well, there you go. That's amazing. I hope there is a 2022 for Vegas. If that's what you're hoping. I try to say hi to Podcat, but Podcat hasn't been showing up. He's around. Right now, I can almost guarantee you where he is. But yeah, for some reason, he's kind of retired from the spotlight. For those of you that are new, one of my cats, Kal-El, used to hang out every time that I was in here. He'd either be sitting on the chair or sitting on my lap, which is what got him the nickname Podcat. He'd show up at Lambda Quadrant events as well. But lately, I think he's just kind of tired of the spotlight, so he's retired for the moment. The last time he was in here about 5 minutes before the podcast started. And I was hoping maybe he would stay just long enough to say hi to everybody, but he bolted. And anybody that has owned a cat knows forcing them to stay where they don't want to be is just a dangerous proposition. So I never force any of my cats to do anything they don't want to do. So I will tell him, though, Domestic, that you said hi. I will let him know that he still has fans. And he needs to pop in. Maybe he'll pop in before the end of the season. But yeah, like I said, Randy's either going to be here next week or the week after, and we will definitely be talking about Lambda Quadrant and all our cool merch. If you want to buy merch now, Domestic, you can head over to my Teespring store. That way you'd have it even before Vegas. You know, get a mask. You could wear it around Vegas. I mean, I should probably get one. I have an NX. I got myself a tank top from my store. I'm probably going to get a mask before I go to Vegas, and at least one day I'll alternate between anything Lambda Quadrant does with the podcast, and then of course all of my Be Kind merch. I actually have a mask that matches this among my Be Kind masks. I have four Be Kind masks. One of them says this, and the rest of them just say Be Kind. But you can never have too many things that say Be Kind on them, if you ask me. So guys, as always, thank you so much for hanging out. If you can support me on Patreon, if you can support me with t-shirts, that would be amazing. Even the podcast, there's subscription fees that need to be taken care of. So anything you guys can do to help me stay with you so we can keep the Chat Pack 2.0 going. Don't miss the last 2 episodes, because then you'll miss me all summer. Travis, good news. I was able to get my vaccine Saturday. Congratulations. Oh, that's funny. Cats are great. I love cats. People that don't understand, who've never owned cats, don't understand. They definitely all have very distinctive personalities, and Podcat definitely has one. And it used to be look at me, I'm a diva, but he's retired from that. Good night, Lasso. Thank you as always for joining me. Thank you everybody in the Chat Pack 2.0 who hung out with me tonight. Be sure to catch me the next couple of weeks. I'll let you know who, and as soon as I finalize who's going to be my guest next week, as soon as I know, you all will know. So thank you again. And until next week, make sure y'all live long and prosper.
This is Nicole DeBoer, and you've been listening to the NX7062 podcast.